So, why, as a doctor, did I go from the typical high protein recommendation as an ICU doctor, worrying about protein for healing, to a proud plant based supporter? And why do I advocate it or recommend it for all of my patients? So, this was a journey. Truthfully, in medical school, we learn that, well, I learned when I was in medical school, that was several years ago now, that, we learned about the building blocks of life, protein. We learned about the importance of calories and carbohydrates and fat and the grams of each that needed to be consumed in order to thrive. We learned about, how these complex chemical systems function in the body, all important things and really vital to understand the basics of physiology. But truthfully, there was a big piece missing. We often, when we talked about diabetes, it was all about, limiting carbs, protein, because it didn't spike blood sugar, and, these mechanistic calculations. When I learned about the power of plants, and I will tell you that I became plant-based initially for the planet, I learned about the effects of factoring farming, and I will tell you, I'll talk about that a little bit later. That is an important factor when you talk about health. But in that journey, I actually did a challenge, and part of the challenge was from a book called The Engine 2 Diet. This book, The Engine 2 Diet, was written by a firefighter, Rip Esselstyn, who was finding a lot of his colleagues, his firefighter colleagues, were dying not from accidents on the job, but actually dying from heart disease. And he was actually plant-based, and he encouraged his engine family, his engine group, to take a plant-based challenge. They did a 28-day challenge. And in this challenge, they were able to lower their cholesterol, lose weight, just really reverse the disease. And his coworkers found that they felt great eating this way, and they decided, because they eat as families, that's a big thing, prepared these plant-based meals and ate them together, and then continued to be plant-based after the challenge. So there was a 28-day challenge. This is about 15 years ago now, maybe 16 years ago now. And we took it. And, part of my hang up when I was going to go plant-based was the worry about protein, right? And nourishment, and how do you put together a meal? Because truthfully, I tried some vegan meals in the past, and I wasn't satisfied, and I didn't really enjoy them. I thought they were kind of bland. But I took the challenge, and at the end of the challenge, I realized, oh my gosh, I feel great. I know how to put together a meal now. I don't have to worry about protein. And I also found that I was a runner at the time. I was becoming more dedicated runner. I was running longer distances. And I found that I was recovering faster, and I could run longer and feel great at the end. And I had more energy. And it was just amazing. And I was hooked. But also what happened was I watched the movie Forks Over Knives, which I highly recommend everybody watching. In that movie, they showcased several people that were able to reverse chronic conditions like diabetes, like heart disease, like autoimmune disease, and they did it with diet. And I was blown away because I never learned this. Truthfully, in medical school, I learned that plant-based diets or vegan diets were fringe, and that you really had to worry about nutrition in children, that they weren't going to get adequate nutrition, that people were going to be protein deficient. So when I saw this opened up a whole new world for me. And of course, I studied more and I learned more. And now, with the knowledge that I've learned from my plant-based nutrition certificate, from my culinary coaching, from becoming a lifestyle medicine doctor, I have seen the power of a plant-based diet. And I'll give you 3 reasons why I think that all people should have the opportunity to use this as a method for disease prevention, treatment, and reversal. So for number 1, when we use a plant-based diet, there are very few side effects. Every diet needs to be well planned, no matter what, to get the proper nutrition. So that's often the argument, is that a plant-based diet, if it's not well planned, then you'll have nutritional deficiencies. Well, truthfully, the typical American diet comes with many nutritional deficiencies in itself. So well-planned plant-based diet is actually replete with nutrition and also the side effect of health. The second thing is, we are facing an epidemic of chronic diseases like diabetes and obesity and heart disease. And a plant-based diet can actually reverse these things without even thinking about it. I will tell you that I had several clients from my last 12-week challenge that lost weight without thinking about it. And I've heard this again and again, that without focusing on calories, without focusing on macros, with actually just focusing on nourishing their bodies, figuring out what to make what tastes good by using more plants, that they were able to lose weight without even thinking about it. And then the third point is what I want to talk about is the environment. And that was actually the first thing that, spurred my interest in plant-based diets, because I learned about the effects of animal agriculture on our planet. And I will tell you now, we are facing more extreme weather, more pollution from animal agriculture, more pollution in general. We're facing potential food crises. And when we look at plant-based diets, so even if you're not completely plant-based, even if you incorporate 1 or 2 plant-based meals a week, you can have a positive effect. If everybody did that, just maybe a meatless Monday, that would have a huge effect on our environment and on our health, our ability to produce food for the masses, and so much more. So if you're interested in learning more about this plant-based transition, if you're struggling with a chronic disease, you can book a discovery call with me, and we could talk about how diet and lifestyle can be life-changing. If you want to try a plant-based diet out, I am going to do a free challenge, a 30-day challenge coming up. So join the wait list. I'll click the link below in the caption. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, if you are struggling with chronic disease or just looking to improve your lifestyle, like this, subscribe for more, and share it with somebody that could benefit. Thanks for watching.